happy new day. It is JDOCA. I wanted to make a video about how growing and growth is a process. It's a process, and it really is, right? I think sometimes we reach a new level of awareness or consciousness that we didn't even think that we could reach. You're like, oh, bro, I'm high on life. I understand what it means. You know what I'm saying? Being high on life and being in tune with everything. It's like, and then we reach a level of like, okay, this is what it is. And then when we inevitably, because we are in a cyclical nature, when we inevitably fall from that high point, we feel like, damn, what happened? I thought it was on it. But it's not to say, it's two things about it. I thought about two things, right? We shouldn't cling on to that happiness because that becomes another form of attachment, and we need to remove attachment so we can really be free spirits. But also, besides that, growth is maintaining as well. It's maintenance. I think some of us, we grow, we get some new information. One, we forget to integrate it. And two, when we do, we don't recognize like, yo, this is an ever-growing process. Just because I thought I was over this doesn't mean it's never gonna rise again, right? Maybe you've worked on it in this context, but doesn't mean that if you get into another context, it's not going to affect you. But I wanted to speak on that because I don't want people to be disheartened when they feel like I've done so much growth and it only feels like I'm going backwards, right? Because that is a part of the growing process of what as well is the regression, is the falling back into old habits. Because one, when you know better, you do better. But that don't mean, but it still takes the onus to do better, right? Just because you know better. How many times do we see people that know the right way, that knows the conscious thing of that's going in their highest good, but choose not to do it or just don't do it, right? So we need to recognize, at least spiritual people that want to ascend, that's intentional about growing, right? You're not always going to be in that high point. That's why it's a high point. You know what I'm saying? You can't always be there. Otherwise, it just be equilibrium. Otherwise, it'll be equilibrium. You'll be there all the time. This is the point of ever evolving and learning how to flow with the change. Learning how to float with the low points and how to glide with the high points, right? I'm not there. I'm always ever evolving. I'm still learning, always learning, always. I'm never going to be done learning, bro. That's the beautiful thing about the universe is there's always new information to learn. So you can never stop learning. Anybody that says they know everything, that tells me all I need to know about you, right? It's not possible to know everything unless you are everything. You know what I'm saying? Unless you are the source. No. So do not get discouraged if you feel like, dang, I've been doing so good, I was on track, I'm just falling back into bad habits. Like, sometimes it's very good to be aware. That's the first step, is being aware. Awareness is the first step, because you cannot fix something that you don't even know needs to be corrected, right? So the first step is awareness. The second step is making adjustments to what you're become aware of. So let's just say you've been really good, you've been on your stuff, you've been on your habits, and then you fall off of it. And you see the consequences. Hold on, let me fix this real quick. And you see the consequences of that, and you just fall into that cycle of self-shaming. Because that was a big thing for me. It's like when I knew the better way or what I should be doing, but I was still falling back into bodily feel-good habits, right? When I know, okay, you got to delay that gratification. And that's my inner knowing. Like, it's one thing, it's inner knowing, but sometimes you don't feel like doing it. That's a different thing. That's the whole point of discipline and self-control. You're not always going to want to feel, you don't always going to feel like doing it. But it's like, for my highest good, you got to know, all right, I got to do this so I can get this. It's a planning, right? And it's especially hard sometimes for people that's not really avid planners. I'm not an avid planner. I'm really not. I just like to go with the flow and, you know what I'm saying, just like, but you can't always coast. That's the beautiful thing about life is, like, no matter what archetype you may be and have developing what your unique formula is, we all have ways that we can grow and evolve to be a more flourishing, better person, right? So you may have this area of life figured out. You may be the best planner. You know how to plan things out. But it's another side where you also got to be able to be fluid and be spontaneous. So it's all a balance, and that's the beautiful thing. You got to find that balance, the equilibrium within yourself. And I have always been a big balance person. I didn't even recognize the term for it, but it was always, the mediation, the peace. Oh man, I'm a big peacekeeper as much as I can. A big balance. Ooh. And now, changing the way I perceive things in terms of inner world, you got inner balance, you know what I'm saying? Your energies, your thoughts, all of that. You got to balance it. And I recognize I cannot go out and try to help bring balance to other people before I have that balance within myself. But it's a constant thing, even balance. Even balance. Why would something need to be in balance if it was never out of balance? So it's a constant state of equilibrium. It's a constant state of highs and lows, of fluctuations. Look at the seasons. Look at the seasons. It's in nature. All we got to do is follow nature. Nature is the formula, to be honest. Even nature, they got seasons where, sometimes the sun comes out, spring, new life, and then fall comes, and it just brings more room and makes more space for new life and what's coming next. But if the seasons and the plants, imagine how much chaos there will be, an added layer of chaos, because with humans, we already make chaos just in the way that the fact that we have free will and that we can think our way out of our nature. Imagine how much more chaos there would be if plants, let me see if I can get in this. You mind if I take a leaf off of you real quick? Imagine if plants resisted their growth at every point. They was like, I ain't ready to die. It's autumn already, folk. I'm not ready to go. And you had half the trees going with their nature and the other half of the trees resisting. Half of the trees thinking that they was apple trees when really they lemon trees. It's just, you see how silly that is? And first of all, we are just subsidiaries, because we couldn't live without these plants. Like, we need oxygen. We need carbon. Come on now. You could say they need carbon dioxide, but there's other ways of getting carbon. Well, I guess carbon dioxide is like another form of, but carbon is the basis of everything in the universe. But you know what I mean? Growth is not a linear. Time isn't even linear. You're going to be in a constant state of growth and evolution. So don't get too down on yourself when you think you're making progress and, oh, I'm regressing, I'm doing so bad, because that is the growth. Recognizing that this is the process, and you shaming yourself is the low vibrational frequency. Bro, shame, guilt, all those are such low vibrational entities. It brings people down because it's literally you versus you. I mean, where does shame come from? It's you being ashamed of yourself. And you are the most powerful co-creator of your life. So if you ashamed of you, yeah, you'll see how much growth you can get by you being ashamed to be who you are. That's why it's so much power in embracing and accepting yourself and living in your truth. And I will say this till I ain't got no breath in my body. Please, please, please. That is a major key. We hold the key, but that is a major key. Being true to yourself and living in your truth. Your truth. Your truth. People don't recognize, bro, there's not a singular truth. And they be trying to get people to adhere to a singular truth. Like, no, bro, we're all different. We all have our own truth. We all have our own perception. Why do you think when people watch movies, 10 people can watch the same movie and get 10 different interpretations, 10 different reactions? Because, one, we're all looking through different type of perspectives, different lenses. We only got one set of eyes, but we got so many different sets of lenses that we can put on them hoes, right? So a lot of the suffering comes from the balance. Is like, this is who I really am, and this is who I'm expected to be. This is who I think I should be. And the bigger that gap is between it, the bigger the vortex in the proverbial black hole is sucking all your energy out. You know what I'm saying? That's why you be so drained. You don't even rock with you. Hey, I'm leaving it at that. But just know that growth is a process. Don't get discouraged if you're not 100%. You're not always on 10. It's a process, okay? Give yourself grace. Treat yourself the way you want to be treated. Facts. We keep talking. We treat other people the way you want to be treated, but also importantly, treat yourself the way you want to be treated. You have to, before you can start telling people how they should treat you, you have to know yourself and how you need to be treated within yourself. We be the main ones dogging on ourselves, demeaning ourselves. We are our own worst critic, right? You gotta express that love within. I don't care if it sounds corny, because some of the most corniest stuff is the truest shit. They try to say hippies are boring, are corny. Although we can talk about that hippie movement, yeah. But still, how you against people loving each other? I don't know. Hey, but I'm gonna leave it at that before it gets too off the wall. Y'all have a blessed day. All right. Make sure you stay on your purpose. You know what it is. Only you know what it is. And the only dream that's not worth chasing is the one that you won't chase down. Okay? I love you. I love you. I've never met you, but I love you. And I'm very proud of you. Y'all have a blessed day. I say, this girl Jada OCA, the overcover angel for conscious and constructive change. Think of this as a mirror. Be the change you want to see. Shout out to Michael Jackson. Yeah, we on this.